Hi, this is Ken and Michelle Bass.
And you're listening to the Resilient Parenting Podcast.
Well, here we are with another introduction to our latest episode.
I'm very excited about this episode. I do say that every time. Okay, well, I'm just going to always be excited
Go ahead.
about
It's
the
okay
episodes.
to be redundant.
So I have a curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time that you have brought a book to the epised. What's
Oh, I
up?
get bored.
Whatever.
Kidding.
Whatever. Okay, but seriously, why do you have a book? Wait, what is this called? Turn that around.
It's the Reader's Digest Laughter, the Best Medicine. It's the 2025 version.
Oh, so deep reading.
I saw it at the thrift store. I thought, I just get this just to give myself a couple of chuckles.
Okay.
But there's things like parents saying.
Yeah?
Parents say strange things to their kids every now and then, trying to give
do.
advice.
Uh-huh.
Like here's one.
Okay.
When it comes to logic, like, if you fall off that swing and break your neck, you can't go to the store with me.
I think we've said something like that.
Or when that lawnmower cuts off your toes, don't come running to me.
Gosh.
There's
That'd be a drag.
And there's a classic one. One day you're going to have kids, and I hope they turn out just like you. Then you'll see what it's like.
Oh, my goodness. How many people have heard that?
Yeah.
How many people have said that?
I don't think I've said that.
Oh, no, because we're great.
We have great kids.
We have great kids.
Yeah.
They're like, please no. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I needed that chuckle.
Okay, good. I'll have more next time.
Okay. We'll look forward to it. And until then, it's our next episode.
All right, today we're chatting with Dr. Kimberly Crawford. Now, Kimberly is the founder of Wellness Innovations, LLC, a consulting and training institute that focuses on trauma resolution and resilience development. We love that word, resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Kim is a former professor in the social work department at NNU. And during that time, she serves as the director of the social work department, the head of the mental health and addictions track, and has been a mental health therapist for over 30 years and specialist in trauma resolution. Now, Doctor, should we call you Dr. Crawford? Can we call you Kim or
Sounds good.
AU?
Yeah, Doc. Honestly, that's probably what most of my clients call me, as Doc, except I have a wonderful teenage boy who's only ever called me dude and bro. So you can, dude and bro.
We have that. In fact, I have a shirt that says mom, mama, mom, bro.
Let me point out one little thing here. Now, as the teacher at NNU, somebody used to be your student.
What?
The one sitting next to me. That would be Michelle, was a student of yours.
Okay, so let me just say, and Ken knows this. This is not me. I'm not getting any like brownie points for this.
Yeah, you already got your grade.
I already got my grade. But I found your class I took you for a few different classes, but the one about trauma and how the brain and the nervous system, all of that, found that to be so fascinating that I actually continued it on in my profession. And I ended up going to a somatic counselor, and I just really have really embraced that and continue to learn. So you were the one who first introduced me to that. So I really want to thank you for being a mentor and inspiration to me in my journey as a clinical social worker now.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. It really, when I started being exposed to somatic work, it flipped everything on its head for me, literally. It was a little disorienting because I had been a therapist for over 20 years before I was exposed to it. But it is revolutionary in how we do the work we do. And what I love about it is you don't need a PhD to access it.
So, y'all, 20 years and then to have that introduced. I feel really privileged that in graduate school you were able to introduce that. So then when I left, I continued on with that. So when we're talking about somatic, can you explain what that means?
The word somatic really just means body. And so somatic-based therapy is emphasizing that the nervous system, the brain-body connection is always leading. Whereas most, if not all, of the therapy models that we still have to teach in grad school, because that's, kind of the culture still, but they're all cognitive based at some level. So they're very, as we might say, top down. It's if you change how you're thinking, you'll change how you're feeling and how you're behaving. And that is true, except we didn't know really until neuroscience started just exploding with this information, that the body precedes all of that. That thoughts, feelings, behaviors are physiologically state dependent. And so somatic work is going to be focusing on the body state, changing that, which then gives us access to changing thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. So it's more of the origin point.
Yes, absolutely. And it's a really good segue into your clinic, Wellness Innovations, that you're the CEO and founder of. So can you tell folks a little bit about what you do there?
Yes, what Wellness Innovations, my emphasis is on really training as many people how to do resilience development so that you're not needing so much trauma resolution. You don't need a PhD to build resilience. You just need to have the skill set and the information. And so at Wellness Innovations, there's the clinical piece of when you're sitting in the office with me, right, and we're doing somatic therapy. But the training portion of it is really important to me. And that's when I developed a program called GRIT, which stands for Grounded Resilience Immersive Training. And I've taken that into first responder communities. There are school systems actually in the Boise area where their entire staff have, from the front office to the principal, have been trained in this information. So the Wellness Innovations, the training piece is trying to equip people with basic tools for understanding what's happening in their own body and how it is dysregulating them or regulating. And that piece is really what's the buffer between what makes something a difficult situation, a horrible event, but it doesn't have to be stored as trauma. That is probably my biggest takeaway that I want people to hear is a traumatic event does not have to be lasting trauma. It doesn't have to be filed that way in your brain body. It can be stored as painful and difficult, but it doesn't have to hijack your nervous system over and over and over. And so those are kind of the two prongs of Wellness Innovation.
So these are tools that parents can use on their kids also.
It's tools that teachers use, then the teachers teach the kids and the parents. And so absolutely, the kids actually are trained. So now they walk up to their teacher and they say, I'm feeling dysregulated.
Oh, it's lovely.
We have this beautiful rainbow chart that I can send that kind of shows a really simple picture of the nervous system in colors. And so they'll say, I'm getting into the red. I need the pass to go use the ball and do this intervention. And so it's simplistic and user-friendly, and anybody can do it anywhere.
So I'm curious because I'm not sure if you know, I'm a trust-based relational intervention practitioner. That's a mouthful, TBRI. And we have the engine plate which is similar. It has the red, it has the blue, and then has the green. But during all of my research, because of like being fascinated with this, I learned about the zones of regulation, which
Yes.
included the color yellow.
Wow.
And then including that one more layer into the window of tolerance,
Right.
and how that all shows up, and then the polyvagal theory of how the body reacts. I know I'm saying a lot of things, but is that
Yeah.
very similar to what you're talking about right now?
Yes, it is. The polyvagal theory is the why these things work, right? It's the mechanistic, this is the physiology under that. And I think that I love that we are seeing it embedded in so many different modalities, that the body is really, it's where everything happens. It's where the experience happens. So our first language is sensation, right? That's all of our primary language. We're not born thinking, oh my gosh, my stomach feels a little uncomfortable. I think I'm hungry. We're born with this sensation and then we respond to it. We are a very cognitive thinking-based culture, right? We have a love affair with the prefrontal cortex. And that's wonderful. That's where we create information and have innovated beyond, our wildest imaginations. But it doesn't speak to the body is where all the shifts happen. And so, yes, it's a different color scheme, but similar to what you were saying, Michelle, that once we flip that switch and get into certain zones, choice becomes very, very narrow, if at all accessible.
With all the things going on in the world these days, which can be quite scary, especially to the kids,
And the parents.
and the parents,
Right.
everybody. There are words that we have brought to the forefront that are very necessary, like empathy.
Yes.
How do you address that?
So empathy is the antidote to violence. You can't be violent and empathetic at the same moment, physiologically. Those originate in different parts of the brain in different physiological states. So if we're using, and this is polyvagal theory based, this is application, right? So the sense of threat that all of us are experiencing is putting us in a survival state. In a survival state, I am more likely to survive once I'm in that fight or flight without empathy. Because if you and I are, one of us is going to live, I can't think, oh, but they have a family. Oh, but I can't bring that empathetic context in.
When you brought that up, the first thing that came to mind during the pandemic and how not everyone, but a lot of people went out and bought all the toilet paper.
That's right. That's right. That was survival response. So, right, when we're talking about empathy, you have to be able to access your whole brain. Empathy lives in the cortex. When we get into survival states, the cortex is hijacked intentionally. That is brilliant survival. Here's a different survival modality: survival through cooperation, survival through connection. That is where empathy lives. But that can only be accessed when we are in a regulated enough state, meaning we're not at that threshold of threat where our body has now interpreted this is life or death here. We're living in that state. And I believe it absolutely, I think it started probably pre-pandemic, but was solidified. And I don't think many of us have ever gotten out of it.
I agree. Absolutely. So what do we do? What do parents do?
Right. And I love that you said, and parents, because here's the thing we don't like. I don't like as a parent. My kids were in 6th grade and 6th and 9th when the pandemic hit. So ripe for just so much trauma, right?
Mhm.
A dysregulated adult cannot regulate a dysregulated child. That is a very hard pill to swallow. We don't like it. As therapists, Michelle, you remember me saying this ad nauseum, right? It's us first, right? Remember when I said, I will be saying it so much, you're going to be rolling your eyes. And I'm certain when the eye rolling starts, I'm like, I'm about at threshold. That's great. So the first thing we do, we have to recognize our own physiological state. We have to recognize I am dysregulated or activated, whatever words are most accessible to you or user friendly. Or as I teach, I'm in red or I'm in blue, like I'm in collapse. I have no more capacity. That's step one, is you have to know you're dysregulated or you can't get regulated.
Absolutely.
One of the best examples of that probably comes from when you get on the airplane. They talk about when the air mask drops and you're a
Right.
parent. What do you do?
Right. And as a mom, my instinct is to go right to my kid. Right. I have to be regulated enough to make that decision. I have to be regulated enough to go, wait, I've got to put this on me to be able to put this on her, because my instinct is to take care of my child. And so we're really talking about instinct, right? When we're talking about threat and threat responses versus empathy, which can only be accessed when we're feeling safe enough. So what do? We have to find ways that we feel safe enough to be able to provide that for our kids. If I can get my body in a regulated enough state, my presence alone is going to regulate my kids more than anything I can say.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of the concept or the process of co-regulation, where my nervous system and your nervous system are always communicating. They're always attaching and reading the environment. That's just mammalian. That's what all mammals do. And so this is why fake it till you make it doesn't actually quite work. Because if I'm smiling and I'm saying, we're fine, but I'm like exploding inside, my kids might hear I'm fine, we're fine, but they're not going to really feel it because I'm not fine. And so that's why somatic or body-based awareness is so essential, because intellectually, I know in this moment, as I'm sitting in my kitchen and I'm looking around, I'm safe intellectually. But there is so much real and existential threat going on that my body may not actually be feeling completely safe right now.
And I appreciate you bringing that up, because I know working with families or parents, especially, they're like, well, I keep this from my kids because I don't want to upset them. And I have to say, well, you may not be as good of hiding it as you think you are, because they can sense it, even
Yes.
if you are, and that actually can create more anxiety because they know something's going on, but and it's not, what is the word that I'm trying to think of? Disconnection from
It's incongruence. Right?
incongruence, which can cause anxiety, because it's like I'm sensing, and I get that too. When I'm talking to someone, I'm like, you're smiling at me, but I'm sensing something is off with you, which makes me feel unsafe. So
Yes.
I'm going to disengage from this conversation.
And what kids do, when I had a toddler and an infant, I had a child psychologist who was working with us, and she said this wonderful thing: kids are wonderful, amazing at antenna, but they're really bad at math. So they pick it up, but they're not good they don't know what's going on, so they create story. And what you just described, Michelle, that is a brilliant way of teaching our children to not trust themselves. When we're saying everything's fine, everything is not fine. They're sensing it at the neurological, that body-based level. Something's off, but mom or dad or teacher or leader is saying, no, we're all fine. So this sensation, then I can't trust it, because it can't be right if they're saying it's wrong. So one of the biggest things I like to do is narrate. I'm glad that you said that about kids and moms. Narrating myself, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I don't have any capacity. And I don't always say it really pretty like that, just in case my kids listen to this. And I'm gonna be like, also, it might sound like back up, go away right now. I'm protecting everyone, right?
Don't poke the bear.
Mom's
I hear
breathe.
that a
Did you
lot.
hear mom's breath? Back up, right? But I've
Yeah.
done that their whole childhood. So now they will approach me and say, do you have the capacity to read this essay right now? Right. And then narrating for them. You're feeling, this is scary. Whether it's, maybe it's me, I just lost my temper because I had a horrible day, and you asked me like the thousandth question I got today, and I lost it on you. I am so sorry. You may be feeling angry or scared, so that I'm narrating for them what's happening in their body. That alone brings safety.
By narrating it, you're validating what they're feeling.
That's right.
And coming back, because we're going to step in it because we're human, right? But I hear repair. You came back and you did repair,
That's right.
which helps with connection, which also brings safety. So it's beautiful.
It brings, and I hope that every mom, parent, or dad listening, rupture and repair, these are, psychobabble words, but we're gonna blow it because we're human. And naming it, describing it, and then walking our kids to repair gives them permission for being fully human, because they will blow it too. Right? Versus modeling that somehow I'm doing this perfectly. They're not going to be able to do it perfectly. So now I'm just setting them up for failure.
Right.
So I think the word resilient is so important. And Michelle, I think probably you remember my gag reflex with the statement that kids are resilient being used with no matter what we do to kids, no matter what happens. Well, kids are resilient, and kids are survivalists. The human species, we can survive war, famine, torture. We can survive anything. But that's not what resilient means, according to what my definition is. My definition is resilient is flexible, and resilience means I'm actually building capacity as I'm going through difficult things, so that I am not more narrow at the end of a traumatic experience. I'm actually more compassionate, more patient, more understanding. Maybe my values are more clearly defined. That to me is resilient. Flexible is a new resilient. Our historical definition has been, and I've done a lot of work in the first responder community and in military community, resilient historically is meant impenetrable, machine. But the neuroscience that we have now and the data does not bear that out. The data shows us that regardless if you think it hurts you or you're imitating whether it hurts you, your physiology is going to reflect it in disease process, right? Relational distress. So that is an outdated model. And I really want us to really drive home. Resilient means I can respond with the resource that's needed to what is actually happening in the moment, and come back to home base of feeling safe and connected to myself and to others. And that's where empathy lives.
Yeah, well, I'm just, with everything going on in the world, and we try to protect our kids, but
Yes.
and we don't know what is when they're outside of the home at school or, on their phones, what they're seeing and hearing. So being able, it sounds, to be able to have those open conversations that are age appropriate,
Yes.
but to not pretend like nothing's happening, because that
That's
would
right.
be opposite of safety, right?
That's right.
And then, but starting with self and like recognizing how your impact is, like the impact it's having on you, I should say.
Yes.
One thing I've heard a lot, and this is not a good strategy. I know we're all doing the best we can, but I hear a
Yes.
lot of parents say, I focus on my kid and I put myself on the back burner. You can't
Mm.
do that because you are the
You're,
safety for the kid.
Mhm.
So you
you're
have
always,
to,
you're the whole
yeah.
stove.
You're the whole
You're
stove.
the stove, they're a burner on the
Yeah.
stove, right? I think that that's in nuance, Michelle, right? Because as moms, I can't speak to the dad experience, Ken, but as moms, um, if I'm making dinner and my infant's hungry, I'm going to feed my infant
Mhm.
first, right? And so part of this is age appropriateness, and I have to eat eventually. And
Mhm.
so it's this both and concept. I have to take care of myself and help my kids take care of themselves. I believe that as I model, that is a way I'm taking care of them. My kids
Absolutely.
see I am upset that my personal little family has gone through quite a lot of trauma in the last 5 years. So we had COVID and divorce, and then some abandonment and financial distress. And there would have been 0% chance that I could have acted like none of that was hurting. I mean, it was devastating. I didn't hide that I cried. I didn't
Mhm.
hide. There were times I'm just got to go to bed. This is all I can do. And I didn't hide that I went to therapy and that I reached out to friends and that I, you know, meditate or work out or just all the things I do.
Mhm.
I was doing that in front of them and asking them to do the same things.
Just showing them that it's okay to be human.
It's
Yeah.
all it is, right? And I think current events are rough, right?
Mhm.
It is natural to want to isolate because that feels safe. That's instinctive to kind of tribally go into our corners with the people we see as safe. And we are seeing it play out in real time, what the danger of that brings, because we are a community, which doesn't mean we all agree with all of the things that we're saying or believe in. To safety through connection and communication and collaboration, that is a different version of how to stay safe.
Yeah.
So I think one of the keys is teaching our kids how are they going to feel safe by recognizing that there are safe people around them all the time too.
Mm.
And by bringing, I'm sure you did this too. My kids had to share on the playground even when other people weren't. And I remember them like, why? Why do I have to take turns? So in this moment, making eye contact with strangers and saying something kind at the checkout counter,
Mhm.
or letting someone come in first in traffic, like those micro movements, those micro gestures are more important now than ever, because that is cueing safety to the other person, who then might cue safety to the next person.
Very
I
good.
love that.
Very
We
good.
can all be safety ambassadors.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. I love it. Yes, I hope that there's a special badge and maybe t-shirt that goes with it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much. You are just always so have so much wonderful information, and everyone can understand why you were my favorite.
Thank you, and thank you for the work you're doing. Such vital work right now, because parents are, we're drowning Yeah. And teachers. And so I love that you are bringing a resource to the community. So proud of you and
Oh,
excited for the work you're doing. Thanks for
thank
sharing.
you. Thank you. I'd like to have you back on.
And Ken, great job today.
What do you
I
think?
have to say that. I have to say it. I have to include you.
Well, I did learn whenever Michelle says I'm fine, don't believe it.
That's right. See?
This podcast is brought to you by the Idaho Children's Trust Fund.